Okay, a quick one, and the last segment of the 1ZZ engine rebuild is out here. So we have the oil pump. We're gonna have a test of this other oil pump that we're gonna slap onto the 1ZZ. Remember, this engine got issues when the oil pump light had to flicker on the dashboard. So we decided, after the rebuild, we must get another oil pump and slap it onto the block. So we secured one from an engine from Japan. So let's test it and see. Remember last time I showed you how we test an oil pump. So you check that, it's functional. So we just do a quick one and slap it onto the block. Remember, in most cases when you're rebuilding some performing engine, you always have to change some fundamental parts like the oil pump, the thrust washers, the timing gears. Probably that's where you get more reliability of the car. So the stage out here is having the oil pump getting installed, and we make sure that we get the cylinder head on two. So here finally the cylinder head comes. So as the cylinder head comes, the other hand gets the bolts, put them on, and quickly we have the camshafts getting on two. So this is where we have the great point of concern that I'm gonna show you. Someone asked me of late that how do I differentiate the timing of the 1ZZ engine and the 1NZ engine together with the 2AZ or 1AZ. So those engines are totally different, but at times we do not configure them the right way because we have failed to understand how to differentiate the engine without looking at their markings. Now, this is what I'm trying to say. Now, you look at the gears. The exhaust gear has letter E and a small mark on it, like the intake gear has a mark. So let's do the timing first, because this one I've done it several times. So now here is where we have the final concern. Now you look at the yellow mark. It has to configure with the mark on the gear. So you check that. Probably the cam must be at 11:15 o'clock. That is the exhaust. Like the intake cam that should be at its mark. Now you check the yellow mark must be facing at a proportional angle, like the intake orange mark that faces in the middle. So you check, there are the small markings on the exhaust gear and the intake gear. Those markings should be at exactly 9 to 3 o'clock respectively. So you do not have to mess that. 9 to 3 o'clock, that's where you go. Now, the crankshaft gear, you check that. There is a yellow marking. So you should be centered on that for you to mark your timing. The crank and the mark on the oil pump is where you have concerns. So that is the timing of the 1ZZ engine, totally different from the one of the 1NZ and the 2AZ plus the 1AZ. Ideally, they have the same timing procedure, but a different timing markings. So the tensioner has to push the rail such that the timing chain rolls on. We do not forget to check the tightness of the bolts before we slap on the timing cover. You know, at this stage, is where things run crazy. So we get our timing cover and put our sealant on such that we slap it onto the engine. So we adjust the timing, remove off. Okay. So now another concern is here. You check the sprocket plate. Now letter F must face you. Now when you put it the other way around, the car will not ignite because it has the magnetism counter in the revolution that sends a signal. So this is how you must have it. When you put it the other side, emotoka tejja kwaka. So this is how you put it. Because the notches on the sprocket plate are supposed to center the crankshaft sensor such that the magnetism is sent onto the ECU such that the engine makes the right revolution in as far as compression is concerned, and then the firing order comes in. So do not ever think of changing this plate. So this is how you must put it, and then go the other way around. Because when you count the notches on the sprocket to the sensor, that's where the signals are picked from, and the sensors have to function such that you count them and make sure that at the 12th one is where you have your crank sensor getting positioned such that signals are centered rightfully for you to have the right firing order amidst a right TDC. Okay, so let's get the timing cover. Chap chap. So we go very fast on this. So we do not have to put too much silicone because too much of anything is always bad. Now, so after confirming that the timing has not slipped off, making sure all the TDC markings are on set, then we call for our timing cover. Get it onto the block, have it tightened, and then guess what? The last thing after tightening the cover is having the tensioner getting inside. So this is our tensioner. So we push it in. Yeah. Then we bolt it up. Isn't that too easy? So at this stage, we get the seals, put them on. Remember, when you've had a rebuild of an engine, make sure you change the seals. Do not have an old seal onto an engine. So the engine is finally done and ready for transportation.